as China prepares to enforce a sweeping new anti-trespassing policy in the South China Sea, threatening to detain foreign nationals in waters that include the Philippines' own exclusive economic zone. The United States Coast Guard is stepping in. In a show of solidarity, the U.S. will deploy assets to support the Philippine Coast Guard in the West Philippine Sea. Together with Japan, this emerging maritime alliance is pushing back, committed to defending freedom of navigation, international law, and Philippine sovereignty. But what does China's new order really mean? And how far will Manila and Washington go to counter it? Stay tuned. What's happening now in the West Philippine Sea could redefine the balance of power in the Indo-Pacific. Before we get started, kindly like this video and subscribe to our channel. The U.S. Coast Guard is stepping up its game in the West Philippine Sea, deploying its North Pacific assets to back the Philippine Coast Guard in defending Manila's sovereign rights. This comes as China prepares to roll out a controversial anti-trespassing policy that threatens to push into the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. At the recent Shangri-La Dialogue, Asia's top security summit, held in Singapore from May 31st to June 2, 2024, the Coast Guards of the Philippines, Japan, and the United States stood united, reaffirming their commitment to keep the West Philippine Sea free, safe, and secure. During a key Philippine-Japan-US conference, Admiral Ronnie Gil L. Gavin, Commandant of the Philippine Coast Guard, called on his counterparts to develop new strategies to counter China's looming threat, especially its plan to detain any fishermen it claims are trespassing in self-declared waters. The Japan Coast Guard responded with a plan to ramp up personnel exchanges, aiming to build a stronger network of Coast Guard forces committed to maritime law enforcement and upholding the rule of law. The Philippine Coast Guard welcomed this move, agreeing to partner with Japan and the U.S. on capacity-building initiatives that will strengthen people-to-people ties, align operational strategies, and build trust among allies. In a firm statement, the U.S. Coast Guard committed to deploying more assets to the South China Sea, directly supporting the Philippines in protecting its exclusive economic zone. This commitment follows Admiral Gavin's call for a stronger presence in the high seas to counter China's new policy that could see alleged trespassers detained under Beijing's self-imposed maritime boundaries. This proposal wasn't just shared with the U.S. Japan's Coast Guard also heard the call for a coordinated response during the Shangri-La Dialogue. The Philippines assured its partners that the Philippine Coast Guard is fully engaged and ready to do its part in this critical alliance, grateful for the chance to strengthen its forces and tackle these challenges head-on. Meanwhile, tensions remain high. The Philippine Navy reported a significant increase in Chinese naval activity in the West Philippine Sea. From May 28th to June 3rd last year alone, they tracked a staggering 125 Chinese vessels in Philippine-occupied areas, including 9 China Coast Guard ships, 11 warships from China's People's Liberation Army Navy, and a massive fleet of 105 maritime militia boats. The Philippines is firing back at China's latest trespass rule in the hotly contested South China Sea. Beijing just rolled out a controversial new order, giving its Coast Guard the power to detain foreign vessels and people suspected of entering what China claims as its waters, including areas well inside the Philippines' exclusive economic zone, as defined by international law, under UNCLOS. Starting June 15th, the Chinese Coast Guard can hold foreign nationals for up to 60 days without trial, raising serious alarms in Manila. This move comes amid skyrocketing tensions over the disputed waters, just as a Philippine civilian resupply convoy was heading towards Scarborough Shoal, a strategic spot inside the Philippines' EEZ, but also claimed by China. This is another illegal action by China, said Philippine Coast Guard spokesperson Jay Terriella in a recent press briefing. Manila firmly rejects Beijing's new rule, which attempts to impose control over waters that rightfully belong to the Philippines. The heart of the issue? China's insistence on its so-called nine-dash line, an imaginary boundary Beijing uses to justify sweeping claims over almost the entire South China Sea, including Philippine territory. With both sides digging in, the South China Sea showdown is heating up, and the world's watching closely. A Mandarin language document recently shared by the Chinese embassy in Manila reveals Beijing's new order covering administrative cases in waters under Chinese control. While it doesn't directly name the South China Sea, China claims nearly the entire waterway as its own, setting the stage for a major clash. The Philippines has fired a stern warning. If China goes ahead with this new rule, the fallout won't just hit Manila. China needs to realize that this policy affects not only the Philippines, but also Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia, and other Southeast Asian nations who challenge China's expansive and highly disputed nine-dash line claim. This could stir up serious trouble for Beijing. The Philippine Coast Guard isn't buying China's threats. They see Beijing's directive to detain foreigners in disputed waters as nothing more than a scare tactic, a way to intimidate civilian missions not just from the Philippines, but from all claimant countries in the South China Sea. Officials are urging Filipino fishermen and other civilians not to be scared off. Meanwhile, lawmakers and security analysts are calling on the Philippine government to take action and bring China's new policy to an international court. They argue this blatant disregard for Philippine sovereignty, the 2016 arbitral ruling, and the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea can't go unanswered. Remember, in 2016, the Philippines won a landmark arbitration case against China over the Scarborough Shoals standoff, a spot Beijing has controlled since 2012. Geopolitical analyst Don McLean-Gill slammed China's new policy as illegal and baseless, pointing out that China's moves, from banning foreign fishing to this latest announcement, are all attempts to flex power and enforce their claims unlawfully. Yet no show of force can change the fact that China's actions violate international law. For years, Filipino fishermen have faced ongoing harassment from Chinese vessels in these contested waters, threatening their livelihoods and escalating tensions. The stakes have never been higher, and the world is watching closely to see how this showdown unfolds. The West Philippine Sea is more than just a maritime boundary. It's the front line of a growing geopolitical clash. With China's new anti-trespassing law, the stakes have never been higher. But as the US, Japan, and the Philippines rally together, a clear message is being sent. Sovereignty is not up for negotiation, and international law will not be ignored. The waters may be contested, but the resolve to protect them is stronger than ever. If you found this video informative, hit like, subscribe, and tap the bell icon for more in-depth updates on regional security, defense partnerships, and unfolding developments in the South China Sea. Should the Philippines take legal action against China's policy? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and stay aware.